Hello and welcome, everybody. We'll just give it a few more minutes before I start this webinar, just because I can see we've still got a few people joining. So just get yourself comfortable, and we'll be starting in a minute or so. So just whilst we're waiting for everyone to join, I'd just like to let you know that this session is being recorded, so it can be used for future um, prospective students to look at as well. Um, but we will be using the Q&A feature for you to ask questions, and that will come through to me, and we'll answer those questions towards the end. Okay, so it's a minute past the hour. Let's get started. As I've just said, this session is being recorded, so just be aware of that. My name is Tom Carlson. I'm a professor of assistive robotics, and I have a research lab based out in Stanmore that I'll tell you about in a moment. But I'm here today in my capacity as Vice Dean Education for the Faculty of Medical Sciences. And I'm very pleased to be hosting our graduate open event that will be looking at medical and healthcare technology and engineering master's programs at UCL. My own research is very interdisciplinary, so I don't just work within medical sciences, I also work with my counterparts in the Faculty of Engineering, and I'm absolutely delighted that today I have a whole range of people who have come to join. So we've got faculty from both the Faculty of Medical Sciences and Faculty of Engineering. We've got some alumni and students from various programs as well. Um, so before we start, I'll just let you know we will be using the Q&A function, which should be down at the bottom of your screen. So if you want to ask any questions, please do feel free to post them at any point during the presentation, or indeed during the Q&A session at the end, and I'll answer your questions then. And the way that this is going to work today, I'm going to give an overview of three programs within the Faculty of Medical Sciences that you might be interested in. And then I'm going to pass over to my colleague who will be introducing three programs from the Faculty of Engineering. So Zian will tell you about those. Then we will hear from some of our current students and alumni just a bit about their journeys at UCL. And then we'll go into a more sort of Q&A panel session at the end. So that'll be your opportunity to get any of your burning questions answered. So let's start off with the three programs that I'm talking about in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Today, we're talking about those that are based at the UCL Institute of Orthopaedics and Musculoskeletal Science. This is a fantastic campus based at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore. So that's kind of at the end of the Jubilee line in northwest London on top of a nice green hill. So you're in an active hospital environment and a very rich research environment there as well. And the three programs that I'll be talking about today is Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technologies Masters, another Masters in Musculoskeletal Science and Medical Engineering, and then finally Physical Therapy in Musculoskeletal Healthcare and Rehabilitation. And all of these masters share some common modules, but then have some specialist areas as well. So, who are we looking for to start with? Who am I hoping that we've got in the room today? Well, we're looking for people that have demonstrated academic excellence already in your undergraduate studies, and we're looking for people that have that potential to continue demonstrating academic excellence throughout your master studies as well. But it's not just about excellence. You need to have a drive to make a difference. We want you to be making a difference to quality of life for people around the world. And to do that, you need to have a passion for research. So you need to have an inquisitive mind. You need to be curious about the world around you and how we can demonstrate evidence to make good decisions and good solutions to some of the healthcare problems that we're facing in the UK and around the globe. And finally, these kind of problems are really challenging. So we need to work with diverse groups of people so we can get a range of different perspectives when we're coming up with these solutions. So we always aim to recruit a diverse range of students, both in terms of cultural background, ethnicity, and of course, technical and academic backgrounds. And then we all work together in order to do some synergistic work that's much better than we could do in isolation. So the first master's I want to talk about is a Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technologies MSc. And this is all about creating technology that helps people with functional impairments get on with their activities of daily living and improve their level of independence. And a functional impairment in this case might be a cognitive impairment. It could be a sensory impairment, like vision or hearing. But a lot of the work that we focus on is around motor impairment. So working with people with spinal cord injury, for example, or motor neuron disease. And finally, as I said in the previous slide, these kind of problems are really hard. So we can't just solve this from an engineering perspective, but we really need to work as part of a multidisciplinary team. And so throughout the program, you get exposure to patients, clinicians, scientists, the third sector, charities, and industry. And we need all of these perspectives to come together in order to create viable solutions to some of these challenging functional impairments. So the way the program's structured, this one is 50-50 between taught and research. So 90 UCL credits are taught modules, and these are comprised of four compulsory taught modules. So this gives you all of the basic fundamental knowledge that's required and brings everyone up to the same sort of level because people will be coming from slightly different academic backgrounds. So covering the basics of rehabilitation engineering, anatomy and physiology, think about research methods, assistive technologies, and biomechanics. And there's also 90 credits of research. So typically every master's program will have a research project, and here you've got a 60 credit research project, which is about a third of your overall MSc. But uniquely here, we also have the group research projects, which is a fantastic module. I'm not biased at all. It happens to be my module um, where we actually set a challenge that's given to us by one of our charity partners or one of our clinical partners about a real problem that one of their clients or patients is facing. And then in multidisciplinary teams, you work throughout terms 1 and 2, building upon that core knowledge in order to design, build, and evaluate solutions for these problems. And then, of course, the research project, which is really on a topic that's going to be close to whatever you are passionate about. And complementary to that, you get to choose a couple of optional modules that are taught. So that's two 15-credit modules. There's all sorts of different topics that you can choose from, but typically things like advanced human-machine interfaces or neural engineering or perhaps disability interaction. And these can be taught all across at different departments within UCL, so it might go outside of the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So where do you go? If you have done our program in rehabilitation engineering and assistive technologies, you'll become part of our LinkedIn group. So the UCL Aspire Create an Alumni group, it's very active. And from there, we keep in touch with our alumni who've gone into all sorts of different areas. About a third of them stay within academia, so do PhDs and go on to become lecturers. About a third of them work in clinical environments, in hospitals, mostly as clinical scientists and engineers. Many of them have gone on to the NHS Scientist Training Program, the STP, and about a third of them go into industry and make lots of money, but at the same time are working on developing products that are actually useful to helping people. So, the next program that I want to talk about is musculoskeletal science and medical engineering. Um, this is an MSc program that's really closely coupled with the work that goes on at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital. So you'll be exploring topics like the musculoskeletal system and orthopedic bioengineering. You'll be looking at really low level things like tissue engineering and regenerative medicine. There's a lot of expertise on implant technology and clinical applications with the clinicians there. And you'll be applying these to all sorts of different musculoskeletal disorders, including everything from arthritis to trauma and cancer and even spinal disorders. And again, your research potential is really exciting in this rapidly sort of developing field, and it's an area that really makes a difference to patients as well. So the RNOH is not a typical hospital, it's a tertiary referral hospital, which means they take on all the complicated cases that can't be dealt with at your usual local hospital. So, musculoskeletal science and medical engineering is a slightly different structure to the rehab engineering one. So, this time, a third of it is around taught credits and again, a 60 credit research project. But similar in idea, there's four compulsory taught modules that bring everyone up to the same baseline standard that we need you to have at that master's level. You then have that research project. Again, that's a 60 credit project that runs in term three and over the summer. And then you get to choose this time four optional modules that are taught, and they're on a really broad range of topics from things like virtual reality in healthcare to a clinical experience module actually within the hospital and other important areas like research governance, for example. So, where have our MSK students gone? Well, again, actually, a lot of them tend to be basic scientists and stay on in academia and do PhDs. But we also have a lot of clinicians that take this master's program as well. So it's quite a mixed cohort. Some of those clinicians going to work in postgraduate as postgraduate clinical trainees, working as allied healthcare associates, and also going out into industry, working as in kind of biomedical and healthcare roles in industry, perhaps designing implants and various technologies there as well. So the final program from the Faculty of Medical Sciences that I wanted to highlight is the physical therapy in MSK, so musculoskeletal science, healthcare and rehabilitation MSc. So in this program, the focus is learning about the biology of the musculoskeletal system, understanding fundamental biomechanics and how these can be applied to the musculoskeletal system and things like locomotion, so walking. But it's not just on the physical side. We also look at some of the psychological aspects of musculoskeletal dysfunction, including pain management. And there's a lot of understanding of the relationships between physical therapy, surgical approaches to treating diseases, and biological therapies. So looking at all of how these different lenses come together to solve the problem from each perspective. And you will gain the experience in a clinical application of rehabilitation techniques delivered by specialists at the RNOH. So all of these programs include clinical lecturers who come in from practicing and they come into the classroom and tell you about what they're doing. So physical therapy, the program structure is similar in the sense that it's 120 credits taught and 60 credits research, but this time it's a very prescribed program, so it's all compulsory taught modules. You've got 8 of those that you work through, and then a compulsory research module as well. So you don't have the optional modules on this, but it's a very carefully curated program specifically designed for people from a physiotherapy background, but also medical doctors as well who are interested in a rehabilitation and MSK. And again, because of that, typically a lot of the students coming onto this program are already physiotherapists or allied health professionals to start with, or indeed medical doctors. And so they tend to stay in that area afterwards. Sometimes there's a bit of spreading into things like fitness and well-being, and some of them then use this as a pivot point to go into academia or perhaps into biomedical healthcare related roles in industry. Anyway, so hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview of the 3 master's programs that we deliver in Stanmore. They're really exciting. They have that clinical application and the interaction with the hospital. And although the programs are primarily based out in Stanmore, you also get the opportunity to visit the Bloomsbury campus at UCL, where some of your modules will be taught, and also at the Royal Free campus in Hampstead as well. So that brings my presentation to an end, and I'm going to pass on to my colleague Zian, who's now going to talk to you about the offering within the Faculty of Engineering. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Zian, you're muted, so we can't hear you quite yet. But in the meantime, I can see we've got some great questions already coming in. Please do feel free to keep asking your questions in the Q&A throughout the presentations. Over to you, Zian.
Yeah, so you can all see my share screen now, right?
I can't see your screen yet. Yes, I can now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, thanks, Tom. So my name is Ziyan. I'm a lecturer in surgical and interventional sciences with the Department of Medical Physics and Biomedical Engineering. It's really lovely to see many of you here. So um, whether you are already quite sure about this field or just still exploring your options, today I hope I can give you some taste or a flavor of who we are, what we are doing, and what your experience might look like if you join us. So here are our key academic stuff. So I'm the tutor of the medical robotics and AI program. So working closely with Matt and Evans. And also I'm organizing the department's MSc and MRes Viva, so collaborating with Katerina for the summer MSc examination. So from this slide, you can see that you will be taught and supported by a group of academics with the expertise across a very wide range from across physics, engineering, AI, robotics, clinical applications. So what that means for you is you are not just learning one perspective. You are learning from the people who are actively working at the cutting edge or the front line of different areas in healthcare technology. So a little bit about our department. So we are actually one of the longest established medical physics department in the UK. With the roots could be dating back to the very early days of the X-ray imaging. But what's more important is what we are today. So we are a very highly multidisciplinary department. So if you enjoy working across boundaries, um, we have experts from the engineering, physics, computer science, in medicine and biology, and also the medical imaging and medical therapies and devices. And this is very much the kind of environment that I hope you can thrive in. So currently we have around 50 permanent academic staff, 500 undergrad students, and around 100 postgrad taught students. In terms of the research, we cover quite a wide spectrum. So from medical imaging, like magnetic resonance imaging, biomedical ultrasound, biomedical optics, to radiation physics, including the advanced X-ray imaging, radiation detectors, proton and advanced radiotherapy, to AI, robotics, and surgical technologies and medical devices like surgical robotics, computer-assisted navigation, diagnosis, intervention. Um, we also have a group working on the implanted devices, so involving the electrical stimulation, neuromodulation, optical, and photoacoustic monitoring. So whether you are more interested in the building the technologies or analyzing the data or clinical applications, there are some many things for you to explore here. So another key strength of our programs are the collaborations. So we work very closely with the major hospitals in London, research institutes across the world, and the industrial partner. So and this is important because the work you will be involved in for your research projects isn't just theoretical. It's often connected to a real clinical problems and real patient impact. So what can you actually study? So we offer a range of MSc and MRAS programs in our department, covering areas like we have three main categories or themes. They are the physics, engineering, and computing. So for the physics, we have physics and engineering in medicine. We have two options for the route in radiation physics, both the campus and also the distance learning. And for the engineering side, we have the physics and engineering in medicine. The route is in the biomedical engineering and medical imaging. And if you're particularly interested in computing or AI, medical imaging, or a relevant area, then we offer the medical robotics and AI, or artificial intelligence and medical imaging, and computational cancer. This is the new program. And we also have the MRAS program in medical physics and biomedical engineering. So it's spanning all three categories because it's focused on research. So it means it's cross-cutting. So yeah, so these represent the broad categories, but all programs have the freedom to explore different topics across disciplines. So I'm gonna introduce our medical robotics and AI program. So this is a um, rapidly expanding sector globally. Um, um, and is now the strategic priority for NHS. And our medical robotics MSc course is the first in the UK and closely tied to the UCL's world leading research centers, formerly known as WISE and CIMIC, and now um, uh, the Hawks Institute. So this is particularly exciting if you're interested in things like surgical robots, machine learning in healthcare, or AI diagnostics. So our program focus on the underlying concept of robotics and AI and how they are deployed in clinical environments to diagnose and to plan and to treat. So the curriculum of this program comprises of four core modules, two research uh, oriented modules, and six options. Um, so the core modules involving the robotic system engineering, artificial intelligence for surgery and intervention, medical robotics and device, and the surgical data science. So the core modules will give you the foundation of the knowledge of this program. And with the options, you are have the flexibility to get deeper into a certain area. And we all also offer two research oriented modules. So the research project is your individual project. And for the medical device enterprise scenario, it's the group project. Um, and I think the research project will form perhaps one of the biggest parts of your MSc degree. And this is really where everything comes together. So you'll be working on an open-ended research question, um, supervised from experts and contributing to their ongoing research. So for many students, this is the highlight of this degree and often leads to the job and or PhDs. So here are some poster samples showing a variety of the research topics covered and high quality research outputs. So if you want a taste of the course, here are two links. You can scan the QR code, and if you want, I can put the link in the chat. So they are the magnetic resonance imaging with Professor Carol Shmuley, and also our department have a podcast. Um, uh, uh, the recent episodes are on the ultrasound, X-ray diffraction, and MRI, etc. And in terms of what your week may look like, um, if you join us, so you typically have 12 to 16 hours of lectures, 10 to 15 hours of project time, and problem-based learning classes. And importantly, you will also have personal tutor support. So we keep the tutorial group small, with around 7 students in one group. So you are not just another number. So we personal tutor will support you with your studies, research, and career planning. And for the assessment, it's a mix of exams, coursework, and also the practical and or computing-based work. So it's not just about sitting the exams or submitting the coursework papers. It's about applying what you've learned. Um, yeah, and also a question we always get is what can we do afterwards? The short answer is quite a lot. We have graduates going to a clinical scientist role, PhDs, med tech companies, startups, or the broader engineering careers. So it opens multiple pathways, not just one. And I won't repeat all these the entry requirements here because you can find more detailed information on our web page. But typically a 2-1 in the relevant subject such as physics, engineering, or computing. And for the finance, there are also scholarships and funding options available. Um, and I would encourage you to explore it earlier rather than later. And finally, beyond academics, UCL, we offer a really vibrant student experience with society, sports, cultural activities. So it's not just about studying, it's also being part of the community. So yeah, so to summarize, if you're interested in the uh, um, uh, um, working in a very multidisciplinary environment, applying the science, engineering, technology knowledge to a real world healthcare problems. If you are interested in the medical robotics, AI, medical imaging, being part of the research labs and globally connected department, this could be a great fit for you. And it's well worth following us on any social media you might use. So we share and celebrate news from the faculty and departments. So including some study opportunities, research stories, information about students' life at UCL. So keep in touch and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Zian,
Yeah.
for that wonderful overview. Maybe if you stop sharing your screen now, and then perhaps our students and alumnus can put their cameras on so we can see some faces. And I think just before we go to the Q&A session, I would like to ask a couple of our current students and one of our alumni to actually tell us a bit about themselves, about their journey, and how they've enjoyed being at UCL as well. So let's start off with Sam.
Hi.
Hi, Sam. So could you maybe just tell us a little bit about you and about your program? I think you're on the medical robotics
Yes.
and AI, aren't you? And
Yep.
just tell us a little bit about your experience so far on the program and what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam, and I'm doing medical robotic and AI. So I chose this course mainly because it's combines robotic with something more meaningful. So in my previous work, I focused a lot on robotic system like the perception and navigation, and I really enjoyed the technical part. But I wanted to apply it somewhere else which will have a more real impact. So healthcare felt the most obvious way, the most obvious direction. Medical robotics is quite interesting because it's not just about making things work, but it's more making them more reliable, uh, safe, and useful in high stakes environments. And also with the AI nowadays, there's a lot more potential to make these system more adaptive and more intelligent. Whether that is in surgery or rehabilitation or assistive technology. What was the second question?
So yeah, just how have you been enjoying your course so far? How's it been going? What's your daily life like on your program?
Honestly, recently I've been really busy, so I've worked on projects that involved with robots perception and navigation. They're quite relevant to medical system, especially in terms of like understanding the environment and operating precisely. It also helped me think more how the system are actually used in the industry, but not just how they're built. And
Fantastic. Yeah, so some applications of that as well.
mhm,
That's really good. And I think that's an important point, as we're saying earlier, that masters are hard work. So you have to
yeah,
come along, you have to be prepared to work because you'll get out what you put in. And it is a lot of thinking that goes into that masters, and that will help develop you as a person as well. Um, let's move on to another student from quite a different background, who's in the Stanmore campus. So Philip, can you tell us a little about your experience on the musculoskeletal science and medical engineering MSc?
Yes, absolutely. Hi everyone. I'm Philip. I am currently doing the Masters in Musculoskeletal Science up at Stanmore. My background is in medical school, so I'm actually an intercalating medical student. So I've done 3 years of medical school, now doing the Masters, and I'm going off back to finish medical school. So my background is very clinical, and my sort of view into this course is that it goes into the very orthopedics direction, which is sort of the way that I'm thinking about going in the future. Um, so yeah, the course up here at Stanmore has been really, really cool. Like Thomas said, there's so much active research going on here. And because it's a much smaller campus, from day one, you sort of, even just in like the lunchroom and things like that, you bump into the people doing active research here. Everyone's really happy to talk about the things they're doing, happy to get you involved, which is also very nice when it comes to picking your projects later on, because you actually know these people, and you're absolutely surrounded by the work they're doing. So it's not just like you're picking a project from a huge list, which you will get, don't worry, but it makes it a little bit easier to actually know what you're getting into. Yeah, and in terms
That
of lectures, it's lectures like everything else. You're used to that part.
That's really good. Thank you, Philip. So that's an important point. I mean, obviously, at UCL, you're part of the biggest physical university in the UK. The only bigger one is the Open University, which is just distance learning based. So we have over 50,000 students at the university. But again, on that Stanmore campus, you've got a very kind of friendly family feeling to it, whilst still having access to the benefits of that broader critical mass of such a big university as well. So best of both worlds. And just to prove that you can actually get through this, and there's a light at the other end of the MSc tunnel, we've got Ibrahim with us, who's one of our fantastic alumni. Ibrahim, maybe you can tell us a bit about your story, your journey to UCL, through UCL, and beyond UCL.
Thanks for the lovely introduction, Tom. My name's Ibrahim. I'm a clinical doctor, actually an international medical graduate, and um, it's been quite interesting until I got to this program at UCL. I've been researching so many different countries, so many different topics after graduating in late 2021. And this program, the MSc Physical Therapy in MSK Healthcare and Rehabilitation, regardless of its long name, but it was much shorter than any other program in the other countries. And it was really pointed at the direction I was heading at. Um, I'm a medical doctor by background, and I have an interest in athletics. So I was interested in the soft tissue side of orthopedic surgery, which this program covers in much interesting depth. It covers both the peri-op rehabilitation and the operative management, but it also dives into the cellular and even molecular basis of all this. So if you're an athlete and you're a nerdy um, medical or allied medical professional who's seeking to really keep asking whys until you get to the root cause of everything, this program would be heaven for you. Like everyone said, it's a really rich environment to get to know a very, very wide network of researchers, of people coming from so many different backgrounds, so many different countries, so many different universities, which really opened doors to me and was really a head start to my life in the UK. Um, I have enjoyed every single module of this program. And like everyone said, it's not really easy to get through. You have to allocate all your time and be really organized to get through. But if you do this, it's gonna jumpstart anything that you do. Soon after, I was offered a PhD scholarship, but balancing pros and cons at this stage, I chose to go to the clinical side. I done my GMC registration, joined the Royal College of Surgeons, and now I'm doing clinical medicine at West London. Getting jobs at West London, at the London area, is really competitive for international medical grads, but thanks to this program and the skills it equipped me with, um, I am where I am at the moment.
Fantastic. Well done and congratulations, Ibrahim. It's also lovely keeping in touch with our alumni. I know you come back to talk to our current students from time to time as well, which we really appreciate. So thank you for that. I'm just going to move to a few questions that have come in on the Q&A. Keep them coming in. So if listening to these students or seeing these presentations have sparked any questions, there's no such thing as a bad question or a wrong question. You can ask anything you like in this Q&A, and we'll do our best to give you a good answer to that. So I'm just going to start with one of the first questions that came through. And I think Zian already started talking about this in her presentation, but this popped up before. So it said, would you be able to provide details on the summer project undertaken for all three programs? So I think that was the Stanmore-based programs. I'm interested in understanding the scope and conceptual underpinnings of these initiatives. So it's a really great question and very similar to Zian. The way that we set these programs up are that most of the projects are actually linked to the active research that's going on in the PIs, the principal investigators research groups. And that's important because it means that you're working on really meaningful research. So that generally the way that we do this is each of the PIs and indeed some of the clinicians in the hospital will propose research questions that they're really interested in that's related either to their research work or their clinical work. And then you have the opportunity to discuss these project ideas with them. They tend not to be completely fixed in stone. So if it's on a topic or a theme that you're interested in, I recommend you go along and you have a chat with them and you can maybe tweak the project a little bit. And we also have some students that come into the program, they already have a really fixed idea of what it is that they want to be doing. So they might have an idea for a spin-out company or something that they want to work on, or it might just be something interesting that's come on from their undergraduate studies. So we can also help find you a supervisor that would be appropriate for developing that project as well. It might be different in in engineering, I'm not sure, but certainly in Faculty of Medical Sciences, we tend to get these projects allocated around about during towards the end of term one or beginning of term two. And so you can sort of be gradually building up some of the preliminary work on your project, some literature reviews, maybe towards some of the ethics if that's required. And most of the practical project work happens after the Easter break, so beginning of term three, continues all through the summer as well. And in Stanmore, for all of those three programs, we also have a summer research symposium where you get to present your work, your ongoing work. It doesn't need to be finished, and kind of discuss that with your peers. So you get formative feedback. It doesn't count towards your final grade, but it gives you the opportunity to actually meet other people, talk about your research, and come up with some ideas on how you think you should be presenting that. Then you have to submit a final report or a dissertation or a thesis on your project. And then later in September, there will be an oral viva. So that will be a very short presentation about your project and some Q&A with a couple of the academics. So it tests a range of different skills, and we're not focused just on writing, but your ability to communicate orally as well. So hopefully that answers that. And just to say that in terms of the scope of those projects, it has to be related to your degree, but they can be anything from supporting ongoing clinical trials to working on cellular level biology type projects, or basic engineering, design, build, evaluate type projects. Might be working with healthy participants, or perhaps some of them working with patients as well, if we have the ethics in place. So there's a real broad range of topics, and I'm confident you'd find something that you're interested in. Zian, I wondered whether you wanted to just clarify anything on projects that might be a bit different in engineering. I know you had a slide on that anyway, or just to reiterate the message, perhaps.
Yeah, so we run thank you, Tom. So we run the projects quite similar
Yeah.
to your part. So a little bit different regarding the timeline. So we allocated the projects at uh October
Hmm.
or early November. So the students can start earlier, and they can work intensively, but mostly in the term three. And we have also the poster presentation and the final talk and also the final report happened in around June and July. So
Hmm.
it's a opportunity for students, not just to communicating their research to the wider community. Yeah, and it also
Fantastic.
covers, yeah, basically we have covered a very wide variety of research topics um, in our department.
Brilliant. So another question that's popped up, we've got a couple of these that seem quite similar. A question saying, would a biomedical sciences student with a focus on malaria or other infectious diseases be a suitable candidate for these programs? So that was for the first three. And then similarly for the engineering programs, even if they don't have a background in physics or engineering. So I think if your background's in malaria and infectious diseases, obviously these programs are quite a change. But we do have students that use the master's program as a way of slightly changing direction, and that's gives you fantastic new opportunities to develop new skills as well. I think if you're coming from that sort of background, from the Stanmore programs, I would have said probably the musculoskeletal science and medical engineering program would be a better choice because it's a little bit broader to start with. You've got more optional modules that you can choose as well, and it doesn't need that engineering background. So there will be some basic biology and biochemistry going into that program that you can build upon. Um, but I think from the Stanmore point of view, the other two programs are maybe a little bit more specialist. So I'd probably recommend considering that one. I think maybe Philip, do you want to come in with a point on that?
Yeah, the thing that I just really wanted to say for like no matter which background you're coming from, again on especially on my course, the MSK one, we've got such a broad background of people. So we have doctors, physios, a lot of people who've come from biomed, but all other backgrounds as well. And what I just wanted to add to this is just like, it's not a sort of, you need to pick something that goes straight down what you've done before. Everyone's going to have modules that are going to feel easier to you. So like for me, with my medical background, a lot of cellular biology stuff, I'd covered that. But then when we got to some of the other modules where some of the other students found it much easier, that's where I'm having to put more work in. So I personally think no matter which background you come from, you're going to get a balanced experience because everyone else will have their easier and their harder modules.
That's a really good point, Philip, and I'm glad that you're in agreement with me because I was thinking of your program would be a really nice fit for someone with that background as well. It's very inclusive and supportive, and I think also the students on the program also help each other out with that understanding as well. So you can support each other. It's a really good way of learning. If Philip's already confident with that sort of cellular biology, I'm sure he's been helping out some of his peers who've been struggling a bit more on that, and vice versa. So that helps everyone's learning. So yeah, and I just wondered whether you wanted to comment on that. So if somebody has a more malaria and infectious diseases background without physics or engineering, would any of your programs potentially be suitable for them?
Uh, yeah, so for the medical robotics and AI part, it's kind of a more specialized module. So we'll be looking at the students' foundation in mathematics, coding skills, etc. So we do have some clinicians that apply for our programs and all went well. So we have really a broad, a diverse backgrounds of students. Um, yeah, so I think it's possible, but it might be a little more to catch up if you're considering that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got another question for you, Zian, here. So this one is for the MRes programs. Would you be able to provide some details on the summer project that's undertaken for the MRes? How does that work?
Okay, so we have a database that have all the PIs submitting their research ideas, topics they are interested in there. Um, so part of it it's only open for the MSc programs, but some of it are open for both the MSc programs and MRes. So it's in the same database. Um, yeah, and cover from the medical imaging to the robotics, medical robotics, AI, and medical devices, etc. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And so, someone else here interested in medical robotics and AI, they're asking, do you offer assistantships? I'm not quite sure what we mean by assistantships. So, whoever wrote this question on do you offer assistantships, could you maybe explain a little bit more, and we'll try and answer that question for you. And let's see, and do you have an idea as to what that might mean? Not quite sure.
Sorry, not gonna.
So maybe we want to answer this question. So whoever wrote that question, you're completely anonymous. I don't know who you are. So please just expand a little bit on that question, and we will answer that fairly soon for you. Might be that Philip's got an idea. Philip.
Philip has Googled it.
Okay.
I also had no idea. It just says it's a paid academic appointment made to a graduate student that involves part-time teaching or research.
So we don't do that for like a research assistantship in the US. Okay, good question. Okay, so the way that we do this is generally for our PhD students. So we do have what we call postgraduate teaching assistants, but these are people who have already done their MSc. They're working on a PhD with us, and then they will support some of the lab work, some of the teaching for the MSc students. So within the medical robotics and AI, I don't think you offer any of these to
That's the
MSc level
reason.
students, but you will have PhD students who are undertaking research who will be doing that. So thank you for clarifying. Yeah. So like that research assistantship in the US, we do it, but only for PhD students. Okay, so let's mark those as done. Another question here. Carinta, I would like to know a bit more on the open distance learning. Is scholarship available for this mode of teaching? Zian, you're nodding.
Yeah, I think that is the question for the physics and yeah, with our physics and biomedical engineering,
Go for it.
within the radiation physics route. I think different scholarship have different eligibilities. So I would recommend you to check on the link I posted in the slides. If you want, I can also put that link in the chat for you for a quick chat.
Yeah. I wonder,
Um,
Emiliana, maybe you can also put a link in the chat just about scholarships in general. We do have a scholarship page that students can search through to see whether they're eligible and whether that's eligible for the particular course of study that they want to take. Yeah, thank you. And just a note on the distance learning. So the Stanmore programs don't offer a distance learning mode anymore. The physical therapy program is offered as a part-time possibility study on that one, but not as a distance learning, just to clarify that. Good. Thanks, Emiliana. Okay, so we've answered quite a few questions there. I just was wondering for our current student, Sam, are you still there? I was just wondering if you might be able to tell us a bit about your plans after graduation. Sam's video's gone off, so maybe he's not there. Maybe in the meantime, Philip, I guess your plans are to go to continue med school, but has this master's sort of affected your decision making around that? Has it reinforced what you wanted to do, or given you any new ideas at all?
So yeah, absolutely. But the thing that I would say, oh, I think we've got Sam back. I think what I'd say is what's also really valuable about this course, especially from a clinical background, is the people you meet along the way. And it always sounds a bit cheesy, but the networking you can do. So I've even just through one of our clinical modules, we've got, like you said, a lot of the clinicians coming in, giving lectures, and they're always very happy to help you out in whatever way. So some of them have become clinical supervisors now for research projects. But also just as much as if you have a clinical background, obviously this is within reason because you need occupational health and things like that. But they're happy to, if you are from the background, take you into theatres, or even for any other students, they've taken people into clinics just to give you an idea of what the actual clinical side of applying these technologies is. So I'd say that's been massively useful for me, meeting some of these people, and just also when it comes to later on when I'm finished with medical school, having people to rely on a little bit, like Ibrahim said, give you a little bit of a head start in a massively competitive world that is London.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, Philip. A lot of what you do during your masters is spent on the academic side, but a lot of the value that you get out of your masters is much broader than that and goes beyond that academic learning. So the networking, and that networking might go beyond your program as well. We encourage everyone to get involved with the student union, to join clubs and societies. There are academic clubs and societies, there's sports, there are leisure clubs and societies as well. So you can build up a really rich network of contacts there who will be friends for life in some cases as well. Sam, you're back, which is fantastic. I was just wondering, what's your plans for after your MSc? Have you started thinking about jobs and careers yet?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my laptop just died, so I had to switch my phone.
Resourceful. Well done.
Yeah. Um, so after graduation, I'm planning to go into the medical robotic industry,
Hmm.
and main because I was speaking to some of my classmate, and they were saying that maybe going to maybe a startup would be better at the moment because in this case that you are kind of growing with the company as well. You're learning the way, you're learning things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ideally, I want to work on something that just supporting people and just like surgical robots or rehab devices.
Absolutely
Because
fantastic.
my sorry.
There's a lot of support for innovation and enterprise at UCL as well. So we do have a hatchery and lots of startups coming out and around the base KX area near King's Cross as well. So lots of pipeline of these fantastic ideas from the university that spin out into startups and grow exactly with led by students like
Mhm.
yourself. So
Yeah.
they're really exciting, high octane kind of first career step. So good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm just wondering again, maybe Sam, how did you find that transition from the sort of undergraduate education to coming in and doing a master's? Was it different and how did you adapt to that?
So I did medical, I mean, no, I did biomedical engineering before this
Hmm.
course. And the transition was definitely a step up, mainly in terms of like independence and the depth of the course. And at the undergrad level, this is things are more structured, but at the postgraduate level, you're expected to take more ownership of your own work, and especially in projects and in research. So I'm saying that having a robotic background will help, but the course itself will push yourself into more about a real world constraints, especially in healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. All of these master's programs, it's about becoming much more independent and taking charge of your own learning rather than being given more direction. So it sort of helps you on that pathway to independence, I think. And again, think about that wider context in which you're operating. So we just had another question come in here live. So, Million, thank you very much for your question, which is, what course would you guys recommend for someone interested in neuroprosthetics? I've looked at all the UCL courses. There are a lot of UCL courses out there. Now, I'm probably slightly biased, but I would definitely recommend rehabilitation engineering and assistive technologies. So that's because we have a lot of world-leading researchers looking at haptics, neuroprosthetics, brain machine interfaces, robotics, virtual reality, all these kind of things that go together. We also at the RNH, the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, have links with the prosthetics and orthotics department. We work really closely with them. But we also have links with other leading hospitals like at Queen Square, the Institute of Neurology and Neuroscience as well. So there's some really cool leading edge research that we do, and that all filters through into the program. So from my point of view, that's your perfect program. But indeed, there are other programs at UCL as well. So I wonder, Zian, do you have a particular program you would like to push for neuroprosthetics for interested prospective student?
Um, so, um, so for the programs in our departments, if you are interested in the more general medical device, the hardware and the software, um, or the robot-assisted devices, maybe the ro medical robotics and AI would be a
Hmm.
good choice for you. Yeah.
And I think the other thing to say is that actually, even if you're taking a course in Zian's department or whether you're taking one of our courses, we do actually offer some of our modules across the
Yeah.
different programs as well. So when it comes to those options, it depends which one's available and everything, but you might well end up taking a module from medical physics, even if you've registered for the program within the Stanmore collection programs. So I know things like neurotechnology and things we might crossover on that. Philip, something to add from your side?
I just wanted to quickly say, like, no matter which course you do, there are also these events that happen all the time. And it's actually funny you asked this. Like, literally last week, I went to an online talk. No, sorry, not last week. This Tuesday, by I think his name is Harith Akram, who's one of the leading neurosurgeons at UCLH, who does a lot of fantastic work with the Neuralink. And there was another surgeon there whose name I can't quite remember, but he works on the NeuroPixel stuff. So, like, no matter which of the courses you end up going for, there's a big network of these people who you can get in contact with. And I've actually gotten, like, literally just by sending someone a LinkedIn message, you'd be surprised how many people, just because it says the little you two are at the same university, you'll be shocked how many replies you actually get.
Absolutely. And we do publicize relevant events and seminars to all of our students, both in engineering and in medical sciences. So all those sort of extracurricular seminars and networking events. Well, I've noticed that the time is now 2 o'clock. We've finished all the questions. Thank you so much for those wonderful questions and for engaging with us. We hope that this session's been really useful to you. I'd like to thank my wonderful panel here with our two current students, Sam and Philip, and of course our fantastic alumnus, Ibrahim, for joining us today and sharing their experience with you. And thank you to my colleague Zian from Faculty of Engineering for joining us and having this nice joined up event. So I wish you all the very best in choosing the perfect MSc program for you. Do have a look at the prospectus pages, and of course there are contact details on there. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write to us and we'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Bye.
so much.